Hello, Jakarta and the world. I'm Doug Johnson, and this is White Trash Talking. Today I want to talk about the execution-style murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of one of the largest and most profitable health insurance companies, United Healthcare. Mangione is the shooter, and he's become a celebrity to many. And these people are fed up with the terrible healthcare insurers that charge huge premiums but then deny coverage of cost when the clients become sick. There are many horror stories online of people who died because of delayed or denied coverage, or who lost their homes due to huge debt from out-of-pocket expenses that the insurance companies wouldn't cover. We all know why this is happening. The less the insurers pay out, the greater their profits. That's obvious. People are rightfully enraged by this, and many seem to celebrate Brian Thompson's killing. Luigi Mangione, it would be fair to say, is now a cult hero. We need to look at this further. So here's the image of Luigi Mangione on the street, waiting for Brian Thompson to come. We know what happened after that. Shot him and he got away on a bicycle. Then there was a press conference.
The full investigative efforts of the New York City Police Department are well underway, and we will not rest until we identify and apprehend the shooter in this case. The women and men of the NYPD take enormous pride in the work that they do each day and each night to drive down crime and violence in our city. Right now, we are asking the public for your help. We have increased the reward in this case to $10,000.
Okay, I think police generally do a good job in the United States. I know they're under a lot of criticism, but why are they offering $10,000? I mean, obviously the police aren't going to pay that out. It would come from probably UHC, United Healthcare Company. But why is there a huge press conference for this man, and yet we have people like these? This is indigenous women around the United States. Many of them were prostitutes. They're missing or murdered. Their cases have not been solved. There's no $10,000 for any one of them. There's no banner that says was a good friend, even though I'm sure that they were good friends to many, and at least their families, right? Why this big disparity, this big difference in attention and concern? We think we know the answer, right? Okay. All right, so the answer really lies here. Okay? This explains why Brian Thompson is so important, and it explains why people are so angry. Because he represented United Healthcare, which is the bar on the bottom of this graph. And this chart, it's claim denial rates by insurance companies. So the longer the bar, the worse the company, the more that they denied. And UHC, Brian Thompson's company, denied 32% of the claims. Imagine, almost a third of the claims. These are, I mean, there's probably some trivial claims that they would have a right, or things that really are not necessary, but really, come on. That's just very hard to believe. These are procedures that are recommended by doctors and so on, and they're just denying the claims, and people, like I said, are dying or going broke paying out-of-pocket expenses. And Brian Thompson, by the way, made $10 million a year. Okay, and his company in 2024, by September, had earned over $90 billion. A little bit over $90 billion. $90 billion. So, this, you got to keep that in mind. This explains a lot of the reactions here. One is that press conference, and two is the people's outrage that this is happening. Okay, so what I want to do is take a look at what's happening in the United States in general regarding healthcare. And this is an article from the Commonwealth Fund, and it's from 2022, and it says, U.S. healthcare from a global perspective 2022, accelerating spending, worsening outcomes. Just the opposite of what you would expect. The people in the United States experience the worst healthcare outcomes overall of any high-income nation. Americans are more likely to die younger and from avoidable causes than residents of peer countries. That's shocking. Okay? Here's some highlights from that article. 1, healthcare spending, both per person and as a share of GDP, continues to be far higher in the United States than in other high-income countries. Yet the U.S. is the only country that doesn't have universal healthcare. Well, why is that? 2, the U.S. has the lowest life expectancy at birth, the highest death rates for avoidable or treatable conditions, the highest maternal and infant mortality, and among the highest suicide rates. It's amazing. 3, the U.S. has the highest rate of people with multiple chronic conditions and an obesity rate nearly twice the OECD average. And finally, Americans see physicians less often than people in most other countries and have among the lowest rate of practicing physicians in hospital beds per 1,000 population. These are the worst statistics that you can imagine. And so naturally, people are outraged, as I said, and they're celebrating the death of Brian Thompson and the way he was killed. So I want to look at some of the reactions of joy. Here's the Piers Morgan show. I'll just let you watch.
I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like...
Serious?
I mean...
Joy at a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again,
we're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Thousands of Americans that be murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people.
She's right, absolutely. So is Piers Morgan. He's a father, a husband. He's a son of his parents. He's a neighbor. He's a friend. He's a human being. And, I have very mixed feelings about it. I feel a little bit uneasy that people are celebrating, but I understand. Okay, I want to show you another reaction of joy. This is at a concert. Just put it up. This is a Disney-style concert. They have Disney images.
You gotta give the people what they want, right?
So yeah, they had a concert, and then they put up images of Luigi Mangione, and the place just went crazy. And he said, we have to give the people what they want. This is what they want. Okay, let's look at some other reactions.
This is kind of spreading, and these signs are being taken down quickly all over the country. But, I mean, this was in New York. You saw this sign, one person with a pistol just shook the ruling class, more than decades of peaceful organizing. It seems somebody hacked into a street traffic sign in Seattle. One less CEO, many more to go. And as has been reported, you've seen wanted signs for healthcare CEOs popping up in New York on the subway. You had Brian Thompson's face up there, with a cross through it. You also had another executive here, another healthcare executive head on a wanted sign. You also had Andrew Kitty's head on a want sign. He is Andrew Whitty, excuse me. He is the CEO of the parent company, United Health Group. So this is spreading.
Yeah, and it's probably very dangerous. I mean, if people start taking action for real against CEOs, then they'll have to walk around with private armies, and it just would get much worse. And they have more power than the people have, so this would not end well. But I want to listen to AOC. Her comments, they seem to capture what's going on here.
It's really important that we take a step back. This is not to comment, and this is not to say that an act of violence is justified. But I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims as an act of violence against them. People go homeless over the financial devastation of a diagnosis that doesn't get addressed, or, you know, the amount that they're going to have to cover with a surprise bill and things like that.
It is an act of violence against the people. It definitely is. Yeah, it kills, okay? But the question for AOC is, why isn't she doing anything? I don't question that she's not a good person. She is. You can tell that she cares, and she doesn't have to be out there speaking. But her party doesn't seem to care. The Democratic Party that used to represent the interests of the working class and would take care of issues like this, would not let this happen, they're now beholden to the insurance companies, not the people. They're beholden to the bankers and Wall Street who invest in these insurance companies, not to the people. So, AOC, you got a lot of work to do. You know what to do, so get at it, okay? All right, so why is there no universal health care? I want to look at that. That's an important question. And in this article by Truthout, Noam Chomsky is interviewed. It's called "The U.S. Health System is an International Scandal, and ACA repeal will make it worse." ACA's Affordable Care Act, that was Obamacare. At the time, Trump was threatening to repeal it, and Chomsky was saying that would not be a good idea. But in this article, Chomsky talks about this scandal inside the U.S. So let's look at that more closely. One question to Chomsky was, why aren't Americans demanding, not simply expressing a preference for, in survey polls, access to a universal health care system? Chomsky answers, they are indeed expressing a preference over a long period. Okay, he goes on to say, poll results depend on wording and nuance, but they have quite consistently, over the years, shown strong and often large majority support for universal health care. He goes on to say, it was supported by almost 2/3 of the population, but was dropped without serious consideration, presumably as a part of a compact with financial institutions. Okay? That means the government and the financial institutions had an agreement to drop it as a discussion. They're just not going to have it. Okay, let's go further. Okay, Chomsky says, the press reported correctly that there was little political support, and that what the public wants is political, and what the public wants is politically impossible. A polite way of saying that the financial and pharmaceutical industries will not tolerate it. And in American democracy, that's what counts. Yes, it's not politically possible because the people don't have control over the politicians. The financial institutions do. And so money gets its way. All right? And then Chomsky says, it raises a crucial question about American democracy. Why isn't the population demanding what it strongly prefers? Why is it allowing concentrated private capital to undermine necessities of life in the interests of profit and power? Okay, so In the nutshell, it's their representatives disregard their preferences, while effective decision-making largely lies in the hands of tiny concentrations of wealth and corporate power. This leads me to another question. Like, these are corporate entities, pharmaceuticals, health insurance companies. They're large corporations. What is a corporation? What I want to do is look at a quote. This is a quote taken from When Corporations Rule the World by David Corton, a book I strongly recommend. And I'm just going to read the third quote. All three of them are appropriate, but just for the sake of brevity. So the quote says, "Behind its carefully crafted public relations image and the many fine ethical people it may employ, the body of a corporation is its corporate charter, a legal document, and money is its blood. At the core is an alien entity with one goal: to reproduce money, to nourish and replicate itself. Individuals are dispensable. The corporation owes only one true allegiance: to the financial markets." And this is not exaggerated one bit. Individuals are dispensable. That's a corporation. That's what's at work here. That's what's governing our lives. That's what controls our government. That's what owns them. And the governments are beholden to these corporations, not to us. All right, so with that in mind, I want to listen to one last short clip. And it's before Luigi Mangione got caught. They were interviewing a guy about what this murder meant. Okay, let's listen.
There's been a lot of speculation and concern over the fact that the CEO did not have a security detail surrounding him, especially given the contentious environment surrounding healthcare. But what really stands out to you about this ongoing search, this case?
Yeah, well, CEOs are assets to their company. They're groomed, they're hired, they're vetted. And so they have a price tag on their head, according to the company, as one of the company's main, if not most expensive assets, if you look at them as a one-off. And to think that this asset was walking down the street by himself, completely vulnerable, with no steps taken to limit his exposure, to mitigate some of that vulnerability that this top asset of the company experienced is kind of beyond me. I can't believe that they did not have the foresight to at least try to add some steps in there that would thwart this, that would mitigate that risk in some way. This CEO was exposed to not only specific violence, but just random violence, but it goes beyond that to reputational risk. CEOs, their reputation sinks, so does the stock price of a company. And so when we talk about assets and value to the company, I'm very surprised that there was not some attempt to mitigate the reputational risk.
Amazing. He used the word asset to describe Brian Thompson 5 times, and then talked about the risk to his reputation and so on. It's just, the guy has been gunned down. He's dead. I don't see any sorrow for the losses as a human being. I feel sorry for Brian Thompson. He's a dirtbag. He took the wrong path, but he didn't know it. He's just following the rules that he grew up with in the U.S. financial system, and he's excelling at what he's been trained to do. He's better at it than most other people. And, they don't teach you how to be a better human being. They teach you how to make money. And he's learned it well, and he's lost his way. And the people around him, it appears they don't even care about him. I mean, he is an asset. That explains the press conference, the police being out in force like that, the $10,000 reward, because corporations don't want to be losing assets. This is money to them. Remember, individuals are dispensable in a corporation, right? Corporations don't act on the behalf of the benefit of the people. It's only the benefit of themselves. Brian Wilson thought he was on top of the world, but I say Brian Wilson. I'm thinking of the Beach Boys. Brian Thompson, sorry. He thought he was on top of the world. I mean, he's a victim here, really, in that he lost his way and he was doing evil things and didn't even know it, really. I don't think he did. And the people that are celebrating his death, you know, we've all been taken in by corporate ideology. You need to step back and look at this from a wider human perspective. I'm not saying I'm better than you and I'm more human than you, but, you know, this is a chance to examine what really happened here. A human being got shot, okay? We shouldn't be celebrating it. I understand it, but this is a tragedy. And we've got to fix it. We've got to fix our health care. We've got to take back corporate charters and quit letting companies run our lives like this. Let's put humanity back in government. All right, that's all I have to say. If you like what I said, please click like and subscribe and send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye.